Hi, Patrick Russell, EA, coming to you from MNMTaxman.com studios. Today I'm excited to announce I've got 2 new collaborators on my show. That would be both of my daughters. I have my oldest daughter, Amira.
An iPhone 11 better be worth it.
And I've got my youngest daughter, Cameron.
Anything to get out of cleaning my room.
Both were very excited to be part of this project. Few feelings in life give a dad a swelling in the heart more than when their kids come up to them and say, "Hey Dad, we want to help you out."
That's right. The lighting really does make a
Nothing made me
difference.
feel prouder to be a dad knowing that my kids wanted to take an active role in what the family is going to be doing moving forward. And for that, I say, thanks guys. Your efforts and your sacrifices will be appreciated. I do appreciate you being here. Thanks so much, guys. All right, on to this show.
That is so
Today we're
embarrassing.
going to be talking about how the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, signed December 2017 and went into action January 2018. Well, we're going to be talking about how that Tax Cut Act, supposedly, how it screwed over homeowners. But first, a new segment. Today in History. This is a new segment that we're going to be trying. Instead of really relying on current events that only are pertinent for a day, I'm going to strive to look for genuine stories that are going to be affecting us not only for today, but something that may percolate through history. It's finally happened, people. The IRS is finally taking a real serious look at cryptocurrency. Digital currency, that money of the future. It's no longer the future, it's today. A lot of us have already dabbled a little bit in the Bitcoin universe. Most of us lost a little bit of money doing so. But the reality is that it is just a matter of time before the dollar bill has become completely extinct, and any transactions that would require you digging into your pocket for an oily and dirty piece of paper to hand over to your buddy when you lost a Super Bowl bet, those days will finally be over. And of course, we've talked about this many times before, but why is today different than most? The IRS has gone out with public notifications, essentially putting out feelers out into the digital and cryptocurrency world. They're looking for manpower, they're looking for expertise, but they're also looking for tools in order for them to better track and pierce through that veil that's been created by the mechanisms of the cryptocurrency world. Now, the reason why this is so important overall is that it asks a different question. Privacy. When will it ever end? And more importantly, who will watch the watchmen? Now, on its surface, the government is using nothing but very important and crucial and socially acceptable reasons for this type of infringement on what will eventually be our financial privacy. They say things like child pornography, they say things like terrorism, they say things like moving illicit funds through the drug cartels and the drug wars. The agencies and the elements involved are using cryptocurrency as a way of evading reporting and detection, and in a lot of cases, paying on the taxes. And all of these things are great. Law enforcement stamping evil out in the world is always a very important endeavor for any society. However, what it really means is that we're going to be once again opening up our life. Things that we have normally taken for granted as personal will now be open for the world to see. The day when we have to sit down with a tax guy once a year and do one reporting declaring the things that happened in your life financially, income-wise throughout the course of the year, those days will no longer be here. The second you make a transaction with your device, with your online bank, with your Apple Card, whatever it may be, as soon as you have that transaction receipt, you know that third party has already documented it and has now reported it to the agencies required, and the tax reporting and paying is now forever done. Real-time tax reporting, people. Convenient? Absolutely. Invasive? You bet. Tomorrow is now here, people. Something to think about. This has just happened today, but it will be for history. Thanks for coming back. In today's Tax Corner, we're going to be talking about how that Tax Cut and Job Act of 2017 that was supposedly supposed to save the middle class loads of tax money, how it in reality screwed over homeowners.
What is he talking about?
In two specific ways, what we're going to be discussing today. So, the big TCJA that was signed into law by our beloved President Donald J. Trump in December of 2017 and taking effect January 1st, 2018. Now, on its surface, the TCJA was really just a suspension of many of the higher tax bracket items that supposedly were causing a lot of the middle class and upper class taxpayers to have to spend a little bit more in taxes than the normal tax public. And that's not always the case, especially when it comes to these two provisions. Specifically, we're talking about the provisions of the state and local taxes that was limited. Used to be a dollar for dollar deduction that you could take for anything that you paid out of your paycheck for state income tax withheld. Property taxes that you would pay to the assessor in the county that the property was located in. And of course, as a local tax, your DMV registration, the ad valorem part of your registration, the tags that you pay for every year. Now, for people like Jay Leno that have over 150 cars in their garage, this could be a very big haircut. But for the rest of us, it wasn't that small of a haircut either. Especially in places like New York, especially in other places like California, blue states, all of them. Doesn't matter. You have high property values, which then means that you have to pay higher property taxes. Well, if you're capped at $10,000 and your first home is $6,000, that doesn't leave a lot for state income tax withheld and DMV registration paid, does it?
Are we done yet?
It does not. So, the point is this. For states who President Trump knew paid a lot in property taxes, they were the ones that were really going to get hurt the most. Retribution? The point is this, is that if the idea was for the TCJA to make the provisions that existed for middle class families stronger, then by attacking property taxes, which then affects a normal taxpayer's biggest tax write-off on his profile, doesn't quite jive. That's not the only thing that the TCJA did that screwed over homeowners. Mortgage interest. Used to be, prior to the TCJA, you were able to have an overall mortgage balance over $1 million. Meaning that you could have multiple mortgages as long as the balance on the end of the year didn't add up to greater than $1 million. Then your home, as well as that vacation home, was eligible for a full deduction on the mortgage interest. What did the TCJA change? It limited and put a cap, moved that cap meter down from that $1 million threshold down to $750,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. $750,000? That's like a house in Compton. that's not too far from the truth. And you're absolutely right. Places like New York, Manhattan, New York City, California, Laguna Beach, Manhattan Beach, San Francisco, San Jose, you're looking at houses that run between $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 in an upper middle class neighborhood. What is a family to do if you're telling them that they can't have more than one mortgage without starting to lose some of their tax benefits? Once again, if the TCJA was announced as a whirlwind of savings for the middle class, it sure had a funny way of showing it.
Can Dad lie like that?
This is our tax corner tip for today. I'm only going to keep these segments nice and small so I can give you bite-sized chunks, and that'll allow me to then move on to our next bit. Welcome back. In today's Click That Exit Button movie of the week, I'm going to take a trip outside of Netflix. Netflix isn't the only streaming service that I use. We've got Amazon, we've got Apple Plus. We throw our money at that entertainment box quite a bit throughout the month. And so I'm going to venture out a little bit and talk about another movie that was outside of Netflix that I think you should also save your time and money on. And that's Steve Carell's Irresistible. Now, this was written and directed by Jon Stewart, who used to be the original, well, I shouldn't say the original, who used to be a host of the Comedy Central's The Daily Show before Trevor Noah, who I think is exceptional, by the way. But I used to think that Jon Stewart was pretty good at it too. And so I was willing to spend the money, that extra early release charge that they're setting for the theatrical movies coming straight to vid or VOD. So
when is he gonna stop talking?
It was a political satire written by Jon Stewart, sort of a labor of love, something that he had been kicking around for a couple of years and finally had the time and the courage to finish it up. And unfortunately, he should have left it on the back burner. There was nothing about this particular movie that was insightful, that I thought was clever, that brought to bear Steve Carell's formidable acting and comedic chops. None of it was here. It was a cut and dry insider look at what a campaign manager needs to go through in order to run a small campaign that makes a lot of noise. I don't know if the campaign itself made a lot of noise. I clicked the exit button within 15 minutes, knowing that it wasn't going to be worth the time or the effort. And so save yourself that time and effort. Go on and move on to the next movie. You'll be glad you did. Today's song of the day. Well, because of my two collaborators, I thought to myself, hey, why not go straight to the source? Let me get the opinions of two young teenagers letting me know what's hot today. Their answer? Vices by Mothica. Now, I love this song. Let me tell you something about this song. It's got everything that a teenager would want. It's got bass.
That is so wrong about that.
Speed and fast, quick pace. It's got that beat and that chorus that's catchy right off the bat. And it's got the most moody lyrics that you could ever imagine, bringing you back to the days of depression, of not being accepted, and only thinking about the things that you shouldn't be doing.
You'll never be cool.
Yesteryear. Thanks, girls. I appreciate your input, and I'm sure the audience is going to agree with you that Vices by Mothica is going to be a big hit. And finally, today's book of the day. Yes, I'm still working on Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature, slowly but surely, mostly slowly. But today I do have another one in my personal collection that I'd like to share with the world, and that is Sapiens. This is a nonfiction
I'm never
book
going to
from
read that book.
Yuval Noah Harari. Now I knew that, except I didn't remember his middle name. You gotta love the authors that like to add and include all three of their names in the name that they print on the title of the book. Okay, so Yuval takes us back in this non-fiction, informative book, takes us back to the history of humankind, taking us back 70,000 years, 100,000 years into the past, into a day, into an earth that used to have as many different kinds of humans as we take for granted for a species like the dog. For instance, if we happen to be the German Shepherds, what happened to the Cocker Spaniels? What happened to the Beagle? What happened to the
What is he talking about?
Labrador? Right? If we had so many different cousins and so many different lines of the Homo species lineage, what the heck happened to them all? Well, that's what Yuval in his exploratory nonfiction book clearly takes us back to the original caveman days and brings us to a time where we could see how the earth was and what were the factors in place that may have led to Homo sapiens being the dominant species out of what we know today, currently. 6 different lines of Homo, Neanderthal, whatever you call those different types of caveman lineages that follow the Homo sapien line. Obviously, you can see it's been a while since I've read the book. But the point is that it's an informative tale that gives us an idea of why is it that we're the only ones left. The answer may surprise you. The answer may haunt you. It's definitely worth the read. It's something that I absolutely am having my girls read, and as soon as they're done with that book, I'm sure they'll be able to come back on camera, come back to the show, and give us their take on what I believe is going to be a phenomenal book that they're going to carry around with them in their personal collection for the rest of their lives. As always, my team is currently hard at work at the next episode. We got a good one for you. We've got some new players that we're looking forward to playing with, and we're hoping that we have some good ideas that you'll enjoy. We should be seeing you again come Monday. As always, if you have any specific questions for me, please email me at patrick@mmtaxman.com. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for the time. Take care.